Berlin, 1939. The streets pulse with hurried footsteps, gray uniforms and flags waving under a restless wind. Loudspeakers echo distant speeches that promise glory and conquest. The machinery of war awakens, not with thunder, but with precision. Behind every salute lies an order. Behind every march, a plan. Beneath the ground, in the dim light of bunkers, maps unfold like blueprints of fate. Red lines crawl across Europe, marking borders yet to fall. Voices murmur over coded radios, while typewriters hammer the rhythm of invasion. Every mark, every arrow drawn on paper, carries the weight of coming ruin. At the borders, the calm is broken by fire. Poland becomes the testing ground of a new kind of lightning war. Swift, brutal, and merciless. Tanks roar through villages, aircraft dive upon roads and columns of soldiers. The world watches in silence as the storm begins to spread. The Blitzkrieg takes shape. Speed becomes its weapon, shock its language. Cities fall within days. Nations surrender before understanding the nature of their defeat. The German war machine moves like an iron tide, unstoppable and confident, leaving behind only smoke and surrender. From the north to the west, resistance collapses. Flags are replaced, governments flee, and fear takes root in the hearts of millions. In the distance, the next objective looms. The Führer's gaze turns toward France, and the continent holds its breath once more. Through the Ardennes, the gray tide advances again. Steel meets courage in an unequal struggle. Cities once thought invulnerable are reduced to rubble. In the air, the Luftwaffe reigns supreme. The conquest of Europe seems complete, but history hides its reversals in silence. In occupied lands, a different kind of war begins. Fear becomes routine. Silence becomes survival. German soldiers patrol streets that no longer belong to their inhabitants. Behind closed doors, whispers of defiance grow. Every radio tuned in secret becomes an act of resistance. From Paris to Warsaw, banners of conquest rise over old capitals. Trains carry prisoners and supplies eastward, feeding the endless front. Yet behind the triumphal parades, exhaustion and doubt begin to flicker. Even victory carries the scent of decay. France is silent. In every city, flags change, but faces remain. Fear replaces the roar of cannons. The war becomes a shadow stretching through streets, offices, and hearts. Soldiers stand watch, while citizens lower their gaze. The occupation begins, a war without battlefields. With France subdued, Hitler looks across the Channel. The Luftwaffe readies its wings for a new kind of war, one fought among clouds and fire. Mechanics toil, pilots wait, and the airfield hums like a machine of destiny. Soon, the battle for the sky will decide the fate of the land. When night falls over England, the sirens sing their grim song. Bombs fall like rain, and fire paints the streets of London. Yet, amid the rubble, life endures. Firefighters, children, and soldiers alike discover a new kind of courage, one measured not in victories, but in survival. The Luftwaffe, once invincible, begins to falter. British pilots fight with desperate precision, defending their island with every drop of fuel and will. Above the clouds, smoke writes the story of defiance. For the first time, the tide of war stops moving forward. In Paris, flags flutter above quiet streets. Cafes fill with German uniforms, and silence becomes law. Beneath that silence, resistance begins to stir. Small gestures, secret papers, hidden words. What the occupier calls peace, the oppressed call endurance. The sky over England refuses submission. Frustrated, the Führer turns his gaze eastward. Vast plains stretch beyond imagination, and the promise of land and victory blinds reason. Engines roar again. The greatest invasion in history is about to begin. The skies above Europe are no longer German. The Luftwaffe bleeds. The RAF stands. On the ground, civilians rebuild amid ashes. The myth of invincibility begins to crumble. From Berlin, new maps are drawn, this time pointing toward the frozen heart of Russia. The planes return in silence. The generals gather around maps marked with new red arrows. Eastward. Through snow and mud, the next campaign takes form. Trains roll endlessly, carrying men and steel into the unknown. The silence before the storm grows heavy once more. At dawn on June 22, 1941, the silence shatters. Without warning, the German army pours into the Soviet Union. 3 million men, thousands of tanks, endless ambition. Villages burn, columns collapse, and the East ignites. It is not just an invasion, it is a gamble against time itself. Autumn turns to ice. Engines freeze, rifles jam, and every step becomes a battle against the cold. The soldiers stare toward the distant lights of Moscow, close enough to see, too far to reach. The snow buries the tracks of victory, leaving only exhaustion in its place. The winter that Hitler dismissed becomes his first true enemy. Machines fall silent, men vanish into the snow. The Red Army rises from the frost, striking back with fury and steel. For the first time, the German front breaks. The dream of conquest dies in the cold, and with it, the illusion of control. The war is far from over, but its end has begun.